Hello, this is Tanmay, and the objective of this video is to brief you all about an overview of how the admin mode of the Google Analytics looks like. So, in the previous video, I mentioned about how we are going to create an account on Google Analytics and how are we configuring our admin for the same, and we also connected Google Tag Manager. So in this video, I will be showing you how the admin mode of the website looks like. So you log into the Gmail account and access the analytics dashboard by this link. Then after that, you can just head over to the admin settings. You can simply click this button and you will be directed towards a similar page. Now in front of you will be two options. One is namely certain information about accounts, then the other one is information about properties. So there can be several properties under a single account. Like a large website can have various properties. Like one of the properties is large track demo. Similarly, there can be multiple accounts under which there are multiple properties. So since we have already set up our account in the previous video, we will not be looking towards it. We'll head towards the property part in this video. So if you don't have any existing property, you can always start from this button. You can hit this button, create property, and fill in the details. I have already created my property, so we are moving towards the property settings. And for your reference, we are using Google Analytics 4 dashboard here. So some settings may differ if you are using the universal dashboard. So in the property settings, you can see there are options for giving your property name. You can always edit these as and when required. My industry category is beauty and fitness, and there are other options as well in which you can select to whatever is relevant to yours. Then there is reporting time zone that you can edit. This is where your business is based out of, and the currency you can also give where you can choose between a lot of currencies that are available. Whatever is the currency for your conversions and dealings, you can specify that. And if you make any updates to this section, just remember to hit the save button. And then we come to a very important part of the property settings. Then this is property access management. So now you can see that I am the administrator of this property. Now administrator is a person that has full control over this property, and he can do a lot of options. He can explore a lot of options. So I'll show you how we are going to add users to our property that can access this. So first of all, there is an input where we can always add the email addresses here, and this checkbox will definitely send the users a mail for the same that you have been added. Now for the roles of the user that we have added here, we can toggle between a lot of options. There are in the first place, we can assign it to none. That means the user has no role. We have just added the email address. Then there is viewer. It is certain read only. The viewer can only view the reports and the configuration settings. Now there will be analysts, editors, and administrators. So there are very basic differences between these two. And administrator has the entire control of the property, and he can configure the property according to his needs. Editor is also very similar to admin, but the only difference is he cannot manage the users of the property. And so there can be a condition where you want to restrict your users for cost data or revenue data. So you can always select this toggle button here. And once if it is ticked, then no cost metrics would be sent to the users that are added here. And after doing all this, you can just always hit this add button here, and all the email addresses that are here will be added to that property. After that, you can always don't save. Yeah. So this is what we do in property access management. We'll close it and move towards the next stream. So the next important configuration of the property settings is where are we getting the data from? Now it can be from a lot of sources like iOS, Android, web. Right now I have a website that I have connected to this analytics dashboard. So I have connected the same. The connection for this is being mentioned in one of my previous videos. You can check them out. So this is the data stream that we are getting the data from. Since no data is sent from the website, it is also displaying here. If we click on this, we will get to the details of this data stream. So earlier in the versions of some universal analytics dashboards, we were not using streams. We were using views that can be configured and the data can be modified according to the needs. But as per the updates, we are now using streams for getting the data, and we can perform a lot of events on this. So first one is, as already mentioned, we can choose what are the in the first place, if enhanced measurements are on or off, we can always select it to off if we don't want to use them. Then modify event, create custom events, measurement of API secret calls. You can just simply click on this, and now basically you can add your API secret. This is something that it is very confidential and is not shared anywhere. And the main purpose of measurement protocol API secret is to avoid spams, and that can hinder your analytics. The other ones include, now this is something that I won't recommend, manage Google site connected site tags, because this is a way where we are hard coding the tags, and as we all know, we can definitely configure our tags using the Google Tag Manager. So that is a more recommended way of doing things, and not this. And then there can be configure tag settings. If you go to these, it will load up. It will take some time, and after loading up, it will display the configuration settings for the Google tags. Now, if I click on this show all button, you can see there are a lot of options that we can update. If I click on this manage automatic event, now as per the release of Google Analytics 4, we can track some automatic events like page views, scrolls, or outbound clicks, form interactions, video engagements. So now we have also the ability to toggle between the same. If I do not want to track my user for video engagement, I can just simply turn it off if the data is not relevant to me, or if there is no file downloads happening in my e-commerce website, then I can just simply switch it off like this. And by disabling, we'll get a notification for the same. Right now, I am just turning it on again. And remember to hit the save button for the same. And after it has been processed, there are other options that you can explore, like configuring your domains. If you have purchased some domains, then you can always add certain conditions and rules to the in this web page. And then there can be something like define internal traffic. Now, as in your organization, there can be certain users who are internal to your organization, and you do not want to consider them as your important customer or valuable customers, because they are not the ones, they are just analyzing your website. So definitely can create a traffic rule here. On clicking this, you will be given with the option of creating the rule, and on specifying the IP addresses that will be considered as internal traffic and won't show up in the analytics. And then there will be unwanted referrals. So there can be a lot of websites that you want to exclude during your process, that I do not want to analyze the data from xyz.com website. So you can always listed the domain of the website here, and that website will be excluded, and any referral made from that website will also not show up on your analytics dashboard. Then there is also one more important setting here, that is for the session timeout. Now Google initially provides, or by default provides, 30 minutes of timer. Now, I won't recommend to increasing it, but if it is per your business need, you can always toggle between the options that are available. Maximum is 55 minutes and so on. Now, this is something that Google Analytics 4 has engaged. So it is adjust timer for engaged sessions. Now, there can be a session or there can be a use case where you only want to start the timer after certain time. Like if the session lasts for more than 10 seconds, only then we are going to track certain events. It can definitely be increased if there is a need for the same. Then moving on to some other important settings. So similar settings can always be explored as and when required. So moving back to our data settings now, we are in the property settings, and inside the property settings we are now talking about data settings. That are the number one data setting is for data collection. Now Google is using nowadays Google Signals for data collections, and whatever data of your client is there based on user interaction and based on the privacy policy that you have used on your website for collecting that data from the user. Accordingly, all the data will be published here, and you will be able to use it using your Google Analytics dashboard. You can get started by clicking on this button and configure the same. Another key aspect is data retention. So in this, we are going to talk about how long you can retain your data and you can use the data that was associated to something. So by default, the event data retention is 2 months, and I'll highly recommend to change it to 14 months rather than sticking to the 2 months, because there can be instances where you want to compare visualizations or make visualizations for 2 years straight. So having the data from the past year is very crucial. But if you forget to just update this, then after the passage of 2 months, the old data that was 2 months old you won't be able to use that data on the visualizations, and you won't be able to access it. So this is a very important setting that you can just update and save. Another setting is data filters. So as you can see, there is a data filter where we are trying to exclude the internal traffic internal to our organization, and we have put the current state as testing. If you click on this, you can always go here, and once it is out of the testing phase, you can always update the filter state to active, and this will be applied across your domain. Now, any internal traffic won't be considered as a different and separate user, whereas it will be excluded in all the analytics. So your analytics won't be hindered by the people of your organization. Similarly, we talk about reporting identity. Now, there has been a drastic improvement when we talk about how we are going to track the user's identity. So there are two options, blended and observed. I'll suggest to use observed right now because it tracks the user in the certain fashion. So if you're supposedly an e-commerce owner, then you will be definitely assigning a user ID to your customers. So that will be unique, and Google is very much ready to use the same user ID for tracking the user. And you can differentiate between the users using that unique ID that you assign in your website. But if you do not have something of this sort, something of a user ID that you can uniquely identify on your online platform, then we can use Google Signals for the same. So this is nothing but if your client or your customer has a Google account and he has accepted to share data to Google for enhancing performances, then he can definitely get an ID assigned that will be the Google ID, and the user can now be tracked using the same. And like if the user does not have any Google account or any such configuration, then the last option will be to use the device ID, that is the client ID for websites. And so similarly, no user is going without tracking, and these are the three fields we are going to use. We are going to use the IDs for tracking the users. Always remember to hit the save button after performing these settings, and then moving on to some important settings of attribution. So there are two dialog boxes here. One is the reporting attribution model, this dialog box, and the other one is the look back window. The major difference is anything that you do here will be reflected in your previous data. That means your historical data and your future data as well. So in this dialog box, it is quite flexible and you don't have to worry about making any changes to these settings. But just remember one thing, this dialog box is very crucial if we talk about settings, because if you make change anywhere here, then definitely this will be accounted only to the future use cases and not in the previous historical data. The historical data will not be updated with these settings. So you'll have to be very sensitive while updating these settings. And if you talk about the reporting attribution model settings, then definitely the recommended part is data driven. So it is nothing but Google will define how much of a credit it gives to one of the interactions, or how much important an interaction is for your conversion process. So you can select data driven or any other options that you feel comfortable with. And one more good feature of using admin settings of Google Analytics 4 is to you can access your Google Ad Links account here itself. So if you are using a Google Ad account for your e-commerce website, then always you can link the same here in your Google Analytics 4 dashboard. And after linking the same, you don't need to go to Google Ad account separately, whereas all the configurations for remarketing purposes, for adding new users, or looking which user is more valuable to you, all these things can be performed here as well. You don't need to navigate separately to your Google Ads and do the configuration there. And this will also help you to save time, because everything is integrated in the Google ecosystem. So this is a very brief introduction of what is, or of what an admin setting look likes into the Google Analytics 4 dashboard. So this is it. See you in the next video. Thank you.